Joe Biden claims to be the most pro-union president in history. Nonsense. Think of it. His entire career, just think of it. His entire career has been an act of economic treason and union destruction. He's destroyed unions, shipping millions of American jobs overseas while personally taking money from foreign nations hand over fist. Look at the money he got from China. Look at what's coming out, China. Crooked Joe backed NAFTA. He backed China's entry into the World Trade Organization. He backed the horrendous Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have destroyed the American auto industry had I not stopped it. You remember when I stopped it? You guys were gone. You were gone. And that was a done deal. And in fact, during the debate, I got beautiful Hillary Clinton. I don't call her crooked because I only use that name for Biden now. So I call her beautiful. She's a beautiful woman, beautiful Hillary Clinton. To change her position on TPP, they were trying to pull a fast one on you, so she actually changed her position during the campaign, but she would have changed it back had that been a different result. But thank goodness it wasn't, because we made things and did things that nobody believed possible. Nobody believed possible. Biden also backed a gentleman named Barack Hussein Obama. Have you ever heard of him? And his atrocious Korean trade deal. You've heard of him. Crooked Joe backed every single blood-sucking globalist attack on U.S. auto workers, and you've been attacked for a long time. Those attacks all stopped for 4 years with us, and they were getting so strong, and you were getting so strong, and they were building plants here again. Now the plants are going back to Mexico, and they're going back to China. And he's coming back. They're coming back for more. I don't know that he's going to make it to the starting gate, but let's assume he does. If it's not him, it'll be somebody else with the same ideas, because that's the ideas they have. They're very destructive for our country. But we will stop him. Hopefully your leaders at United Auto Workers will endorse Donald Trump. Because, you know, standard history for years and decades and years, they always endorse a Democrat. It's almost like an automatic reflex, and there's no reason for it, but it's a habit. It's a bad habit. Hasn't worked because, look, you've lost 38% of your industry over the period of 25 years. Much of it's gone to Mexico. We don't talk about Mexico. Much of it's gone to Mexico. They make plants in Mexico. A friend of mine, a great supporter, but a great gentleman who builds plants. That's what he builds, auto plants. He said to me the other day, you got to see the plants we're building in Mexico. I said, well, how do they compare to the U.S.? He said, not even a contest. And I said, isn't that a shame? You remember what I did? I said, you don't give us protection at our border. I'm going to charge you a tariff of 25%. We want 28,000 soldiers on our border, and we had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world, by the way. After NAFTA, the United States lost nearly 4 million manufacturing jobs and almost 1 in 3 auto jobs. Joe Biden voted on that. He gave you that. Nearly 250,000 jobs were destroyed here in Michigan alone, including 40% of all auto jobs. Think of that. In fact, I had to check this number because it's inconceivable. You would think factories. 60,000 factories closed and went overseas. Can you imagine? 60,000? No, who would think that? When I first saw that number, I said, oh, somebody made a typographical error. Maybe it was 600 factories. Could have been 6,000, but that sounded too high. 60,000. And the good news is, if the number was wrong, the fake news will be checking it out. So I have to say, I have to give you the right numbers. Otherwise, the fake news is out there. Crooked Joe and his payday with the Biden family, they raked in millions and millions of dollars. You see what's going on. The news doesn't really report it. Very little news reports it. But it was the men and women who got, every single day, they got up and came back home with grease on their hands, and they were the ones that paid the price. They paid a big, big price. The only time Joe Biden has ever gotten his hands dirty is when he's taking cash from foreign countries, which is quite often, actually. It's quite often. Based on what we're seeing, it's much more often than anyone would have thought. But can you imagine an unannounced raid on his many homes? He would have made Senator Menendez look like a baby. Just like a bed. Can you imagine? You know, they gave him 3 weeks' notice. You know, they said, we're going to raid your home over documents. They gave him 3 weeks. Would 3 weeks be enough? So I can imagine. I'd like to see what he cleaned out of there. Joe Biden only cares about enriching his own family. I care about enriching your family. That's why I did this. That's why I did it. I'm working for you, not for me. That is for sure, and I always will. I will always have your back. I promise you that. I will always have your back. When I came into office, the auto industry was on its knees, gasping its last breaths after 8 long years of Obama and Biden. But you finally got a president who stood up to the... You got to understand, I stood up to people that hate you. They hate you. Or they maybe hate our country. But I stood up for you. I stood up for the auto workers and stood up for the great state of Michigan like nobody's ever stood up before. And just as I promised, I withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership my very first week. You remember 2016 when we won Michigan? Michigan hadn't been won in like decades. And